Hey guys, how's it going? And happy Friday. I hope all of you are doing good. And I just wanted to take the time real quick at the beginning because it's really important to me. Thank you so much for all of you guys who support this channel. And look, that includes so many things. First and foremost, just being here and hanging out, offering words of encouragement. I really appreciate all of you guys. Also, all of the channel members. Shout out to all of you who leave generous super chats, Patreon supporters, those of you that help me on locals, which is a total win-win for all of us and the channel. My locals community. If you guys aren't familiar yet, make sure you check it out. Censorship free. There's certain things we can do on YouTube, and then there's terms and conditions here. There's many other things, bonus content, touching guns while I'm live, all kinds of cool stuff I do over there. So make sure you check that out. That link is going to be in the pinned comment when I'm done if you're watching on replay, and also in the description of all my videos. And it's also a place so you can be a paid supporter and you get a few extra perks. But to be honest, I post almost all the content there to everybody. And there's links you can use there that helps the channel totally free. And look, guys, I know money's like super tight right now because it is for me too. But like I said, there's ways you guys can support for free just to help keep this going. I don't take any money from the industry. You guys are my sponsors. So I just wanted to thank all of you so much right off the bat here. Make sure I don't forget the important stuff, you know. Marksman TV, I see him in there. He did a really good video, guys. Probably at the expense of his channel because a lot of people just come to his channel for the guns and not the politics. And I don't think he was political at all, but I can see in the comment section he's still getting razzed. So shout out to you, man. I really thought that was a good video. And some of you guys come here for the guns and leave for the politics. Some of you said you came for the guns and stayed for the politics because you know what? I wish we could live in this perfect utopian world where we could just have all the guns that there are. Now, look, guys, there's over 24,000 plus federal gun control laws and regulations. So obviously, the Second Amendment has been under attack since at the very minimum 1934, and actually even before that if you go into a deep dive. It's my opinion. And it always will be. And trust me, guys, if I could just wave a magic wand and fix all this, I would. But that's not how life works, right? There's always a lot of trials in life. It's my opinion you can't have guns without politics. And politics is downstream from culture. You know, they say over 2/3 of people now in this country think that we either are or about to be on the brink of a civil war. Now, that means many things to many, many people, doesn't it? It could be people in ranks and files and setting up pickets and charging each other with muskets. And that is what it meant when our country had a great civil war. But I think we're in a different kind right now. And I just want you guys to remember that politics is downstream from culture. And yeah, there might be people in Washington that don't care about you. But look, this is a country of the people, by the people, for the people. And you have to care about yourselves. You have to stand up for each other. And we need to stand up for these principles. That we're all endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. And among these, look, there's almost limitless rights. But among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we're on the precipice, I just know we are, of a sea change in this country. We're either going to lose all of it and literally never be able to get it back, or we're going to take this country back. And we have to fight like hell to make sure we're never, ever, ever a communist country. And I've got my friend constitutional attorney, Katherine Henry. She's really smart. She's going to have some good insights on this. And we're going to talk about governor candidate, the front runner for the GOP, Michigan governor candidate, Ryan Kelley. He got arrested by the FBI. And this is gun related. This is rights related because this is the most pro 2A, the most pro natural right to keep and bear arms candidate that we had in Michigan. And as of the most recent polls, he's actually winning and trying to go up against Gretchen. So I'm going to bring Katherine in here. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on with this. And I think we're going to have a good conversation. So I hope you guys all enjoy it here. I think I see Katherine. She's literally heading from Michigan back down to Florida. She's got her own court case standing up to the government, where I'm sure we're going to talk about that a little bit too. And one more thing. I know you guys aren't all in Michigan, but this stuff matters, right? This stuff really matters. And we need to look at what's going on here in Michigan throughout the rest of this country. And we need to all stand together on these issues. So let me bring Katherine right in here. Hello.
Can you hear me okay?
I can. Let me
Okay.
know in the chat if you guys can hear it good. How's it going?
Well, I was hoping we'd be within maybe a half an hour of home by the time I had to log on tonight, but we're in Ohio. We didn't make it very far yet.
Well, hopefully we can hang out long enough until you hit the mountains, and then you'll lose service, I'm sure. How long do you want to stay on tonight? How much time do you have budgeted?
Um, well, I guess I'm totally behind because I thought I'd already beat. So I'm willing to try to go with the flow.
Okay. Yeah, let's see if we can get like 45 minutes or an hour in or something like that. I think we could talk about a lot of
Sure,
this stuff.
sure.
All right, so I think you heard me just a little bit before I popped you on the screen here. I want to talk about Ryan Kelley, and I also want to talk about how big this is and how I believe we are on the precipice of a sort of sea change in this country. Are you feeling the same thing?
Yeah, definitely.
So it hit national news yesterday. I'm sure a lot of you guys already know what happened, but do you want to fill them in real briefly what went down with Ryan and his arrest?
Oh,
I think we just lost Katherine, guys. I'm sorry. We're doing the best we can. Plans changed. She had to travel to Michigan for her own court case. We'll get her on here in just 1 second here. So I can fill you guys in a little bit. So in Michigan, Governor Whitmer, we call her a real beauty, right? And let's go Brandon, by the way, guys. She's up for re-election coming up here. So obviously, like in most elections, we have primaries. And there were originally about 10. Let me pop Katherine in here real quick. All right, are you there?
yeah, it says I have full bars. I mean, I'm on the interstate, not some back road highway, so I have no idea why technology wants to hate me today, but I guess.
Well, all I told them is Gretchen's up for re-election. She needs to get out of office. We started off with 10 primary candidates, about 10. Maybe we started with more than that, but as of recently, there was about 10 Republican candidates in the primary. 5 of them got nixed due to them saying that their signatures weren't properly filled out. Now we're down to about 5. And last time I checked, Ryan Kelley was the front runner for the GOP. Is that kind of where
Sure
we're
is.
at with that?
Absolutely. And man, I can't even think. It's been, I don't know, I want to say February 28 or February 2021 when Ryan called me up and he said, you know, Katherine, I think God's calling me to run for governor. And I'll be honest, I tried to talk him into running for Congress because the congressmen in West Michigan suck. And I thought, you know what? I haven't heard of a single person trying to run for Congress, and we need to challenge those incumbents. And I've heard there's a lot of rumblings of different people running for governor, but he was like, no, I'm pretty adamant. God's calling me to run for governor. And looking at the field now of which 5 are left in this race, he is by far the best choice, not just because, the straw polls are saying that he is or that he's in the lead, but he is by far the best choice. I mean, not that the other ones are bad people or, that they wouldn't necessarily follow the Constitution. At least one of them wouldn't, because he hates the Constitution and it's all about power for him. But I won't go there too much. But Ryan's definitely the best candidate left in this race.
And you didn't. Okay, so just so everyone knows, a lot of you know who Katherine is. She's been on my channel several times. If you don't, I have a link to her channel down there in the description of this video. And I'll also put it in the pinned comment when we're done. She had Ryan Kelley on. She knows Ryan probably a lot better than I do, as she can talk about. But I've actually met Ryan a couple times myself. If you remember when we went to your township board meeting, I went there and you were going to come, but your allergies were like super bad that day. So it ended up being Jane Locke and your husband, Mike, and I. And we sat there and I actually had dinner with Ryan Kelley. And we talked about different issues, but me being primarily focused on the Second Amendment and gun rights, I asked him some pretty tough questions, guys. And this was in a casual atmosphere. I kind of feel bad, like, dude, he probably didn't want to get interviewed during dinner. But I said, well, hold on. I asked him some things, and then I've watched him in many of his speeches. I can say this unequivocally. He is the most pro-Second Amendment, the most pro-gun, whatever you want to call it, rights endowed by your creator to keep and bear arms, of all of the candidates. And he even told me, because I asked him this, I said, look, there's lobbyists that are going to come and they're going to lobby you when you're in the governor's office. Have you ever thought about having somebody that you don't pay, nobody pays, just a regular person? I said, it could be me, it could be 100 people better than me that you would actually take time for and talk to on a periodic basis, whether it's once a month, whatever, where you would actually find out what's going on in the grassroots, where the Second Amendment's under attack in Michigan, all of that. And he said, yeah, he would actually be open to that idea, to let just a regular person that's not part of the lobbying keep him in the loop on pro-gun and Second Amendment issues, which is pretty unique, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. And now that I know that, I'll officially ask him for his ear on all the rest of the constitutional issues myself. So, but I wouldn't be opposed to him paying me for that, though. I'm just going to say, because all the work I do is for free anyway. So, but you know.
Well, here's what I can. Yes, and guys, if Linda, if you could drop a link real quick, not to digress too much, but we can talk about it in a few minutes. Catherine's fighting like crazy on a First Amendment issue, is how it started off. You have the right to petition your government, obviously. And she went in there to try to represent some people. She got locked up for it and is currently having to appeal that as far as she goes. So if you could drop that link in the chat, Linda, go over and check out Catherine's site. There's ways you can help her, like literally financially. There's other ways you can help if you don't have a penny. So I want to let everyone know Catherine's doing that stuff too right now.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify, I wasn't found guilty or anything. I've actually been denied a trial so far. So one of the appeals, it's called an interlocutory appeal, when you file an appeal before the case is over. And I actually filed 2 of these last year, and 2 rounds. I had to go up to the circuit court, and then I had to go up to the Court of Appeals. And basically the courts don't know what they're doing. Well, the Court of Appeals just said, in a 1-sentence denial, yeah, we just don't think you've convinced us it's important to take the case now. They didn't say I was wrong. And here we are, all these months later. I would say that given that the trial court just pushed my motion to dismiss based on a lack of, a denial of my right to a speedy trial, they just pushed that out another month, so that we're now looking at 20 months into this case. I think that's a pretty solid case for winning just on that issue alone, aside from the other issues. So I just wanted to let people know I haven't had a trial. I haven't been found guilty or anything like that, but I shouldn't even have to stand trial because I'm innocent just based on the letter of the Constitution and the letter of the law.
Yes, and I did not mean to imply you were found guilty and you're appealing. It is an appeal that you're making, but you're right. Most people think of an appeal as though you're appealing a guilty verdict. Absolutely not.
Right.
So they're coming after you, and here's what I'm starting to notice. We can talk about yours in just a minute. I just wanted to go back to the Ryan Kelley situation.
Absolutely.
People I'm talking to and stuff I'm reading online, a lot of people are starting to think that the strong arm of the law is going after a political candidate that's probably on track to beat Gretchen right now. What's your thoughts on this?
It wouldn't take a lot to beat her, I don't think, because look at it this way. In the midst of 2020, late summer and early fall, I had, for those of you who don't know, I had written a constitutional amendment petition that would have changed the Michigan Constitution. We needed to get close to 500,000 signatures in a short amount of time, and we did not get the required signatures. So it didn't get put on the ballot. But I found myself going all over the state of Michigan, doing all these events, and literally all over. So way up in the UP where there's like 6 people, and on the west side, north of where we were living, like in Ludington and Muskegon, and up a bit in, Gaylord or Petoskey or Traverse City or Cadillac, but down Kalamazoo, Battle Creek, but all the way over, Lansing, Ann Arbor, and going on to the other side of the Thumb area, but right into the heart of downtown. So if any of you know Michigan or know Detroit, Hart Plaza is literally in the heart of downtown. It's not one of those ritzy areas. also not super cool where, somebody like Eminem will sing about it. It's not near 8 Mile or anything, but it's, and at that time, I'm pretty sure the state was still under the lockdown orders. So most places, had their bathrooms closed if they were even open. And I mean, it was disgusting. But yet there we were. I had petition volunteers, thousands of them all across the state collecting signatures. And I showed up to one of their events, to answer questions, to give a speech to let people know why I wrote the petition, what's in it, and answer questions. And there were people that we were trying to catch right off the street. Like, we were literally off of that main street by Hart Plaza there. And it's, slower speed limit. We're catching people. And this is an area where very low income. So a lot of people are walking or, riding a bike or whatever. Not everybody's going to be riding in their car. And public transportation, I want to say, might have even been shut down during that period. There was, I'm not sure if that time frame is the same as when I was there, but at any rate, I don't recall even seeing public transportation around that day. So I was catching people walking on the street, and this one guy in particular.
I think she just froze. Guys, she should be back in 1 second, hopefully, here. Basically, she had the Restore Freedom Initiative, which was a petition that would change the Michigan Constitution. And I know, like,
Am I back?
Yeah, you're there. Okay, you're back.
Okay, I'm sorry. I could hear you the whole time.
Okay.
So, at any rate, this guy was like a serious Democrat, right? He generally loved everything Gretchen was doing, and just Democrats in general. But when I told him, about really to think about the ways that everybody was negatively impacted by this, he was okay with signing this petition because, it was going to stop a lot of the overreach and a lot of the crap happening from both sides of the aisle. Now, Ryan running as a Republican, that's going to be a little bit different. But my point being that there were a lot of Democrats willing to.
What she's saying is there was a lot of Democrats that were willing to actually come over because they realized how crazy it was, right?
Yes. So, and I promise you I have full signal, so I have no idea why my stupid computer is doing this. I'm sorry. But he has, Ryan is as pretty much as conservative as they come. I mean, he has 6 kids. They homeschool. They do home births. They are awesome, amazing, wholesome American people. But he's also one of those people that he's very realistic about the values that he stands for. And, there are a lot of Democrats that actually love the Second Amendment. There's a lot of those in-between voters that may more align with Democrats than Republicans or vice versa. And, the people that kind of float between one party and the other from one election to another. He's going to be kind of like Trump in a lot of ways, where he's not a typical politician, and he's going to be able to connect with people on a very real basis. And people like that. And he's going to be able to reach just a lot of people in a lot of real ways. So he is the front runner for a reason. And that is why they know he's a powerhouse. They know that, he's got friends like you and me, and right there he should win because we're awesome. But no, he's got friends like, I'm trying to think of all the people that I saw come out. I mean, like, Matt DePerno, who is the Michigan Republican nominee for Attorney General, came out to support him yesterday. And state rep candidate Angela Regas, who's been a freedom fighter in West Michigan for, I've known her almost a decade, and she's been like that. Congressional candidate Tom Norton, who's a huge Second Amendment advocate, plus a veteran himself. And the list goes on and on. John Rocha, who was a state rep candidate, may still be, long story. But anyway, I believe he's a veteran. And there were just...
most important, just regular nobodies, like just people like me that could just tell that he's actually just a really nice guy when you talk to him, which is pretty rare in politics nowadays.
Yes.
But he has a simple vision. See, he realizes that the government is not the solution and is not the answer. The government's the problem. We need less government sitting in Capitol buildings and more power inherent in the people, right?
Yes, absolutely. And you talk about him being a real person. I'm gonna skip all of what happened until after we left the courthouse. Okay, we're literally leaving the courthouse building, and he was making a point, even though the media was terribly harassing him and being in his face, and I'll go into parts of that in a minute. He still, even though his wife wanted to get the heck out of there, he tried his best to make sure she was good and she was, safe and all that. But yet, literally wanted to make sure he shook hands with or hugged every single supporter that came out. He was asking everybody to, follow him down to where his vehicle was. And, so basically his wife could have that barrier around her of the vehicle because she had their youngest child, who's not even 3 months old, with her. And, his mom was with them, and at any rate, so he wanted to make sure he was at least there at their home base, so to speak. But then he wanted to make sure that, hey, everybody, come on down here. And he literally was like, did I get everybody? Is there a supporter I didn't say hi to? I mean, he literally said those words because he legitimately, the man had just been locked up. He'd had his house raided in front of his children and his wife, and, tons of his stuff seized, which we'll go over in a minute, but like super traumatic thing going on. And he came out still with high spirits and he wasn't worried about himself in that moment. He was worried about graciously showing all the supporters who took the time to sometimes travel hours just to be there to support him. He wanted to show each and every one of them that it meant something to him, that they would take time out of their day to come and support him. So that shows the kind of person he is.
Well, let's back up since we're talking about this. This is a good segue. I think most people know, but let's start from the beginning. So you were just talking right now about when he got out of jail. What happened the day before that? Like what actually, or earlier that day, I should say. How did it start?
So I laugh because earlier today I had seen something on Twitter that Patrick Kolbeck, who's also somebody I've known and was friends with for years now. He's a former senator in the state of Michigan, and he's been the one leading the charge on election FRAUD. Anyway, he tweeted something about the situation, and he said something about a 1 a.m. raid on Ryan's home. And I said, hey, almost everything you said was correct in your statement here, but let's not over sensationalize. It was 8:45 a.m. And he wrote back and he goes, oh, you're right. The 1 o'clock was incorrect. Ryan has now said it was 9:30. And I was like, okay, Ryan might have said it was 9:30, but his wife told me yesterday, just less than 2 hours after it happened, that it was at 8:45 and that she was making breakfast for all 6 kids. So I'm going to go with Tabitha on that one. But anyway.
So his wife's helping to make breakfast for the kids. And from what I understand, because you were like right there, not in his house, obviously, but right there, right around the time this happened, I know. Is it true that they actually showed up like the SWAT team and like came in on him?
25 FBI agents came into his house and, searched and seized and took whatever they wanted, and in front of his 6 children and his wife. And this was first thing in the morning when she's making breakfast for the kids. And then they take him. And they would not tell her what they arrested him for. They would not tell her how many charges. They would not tell her where they were taking him. What they did tell her was that in theory, he should have a hearing between 1 and 3 p.m. And it probably would be in downtown Grand Rapids. But that was about it. And throughout the day, not even the day, just the morning, just to let people know the scenario that kind of transpired around this. I used to live in Michigan. Last summer I moved, so we live in Florida. I was in Michigan, though, because my mother-in-law has recently passed away, and we were burying her this week. And because we were up here, my doctor is actually still in Michigan because Christian Healthcare Centers is direct primary care. And if you're looking for somebody to treat you that doesn't try to force insurance crap or over regulations or those jabs, that's the kind of place you want to look for, is a direct primary care. But anyway, that's not Second Amendment, but it is freedom. So we still have our doctor here in Michigan. And so our plan was to go to the doctor and yesterday morning, and then to leave and head right out of town to go back to Florida. Well, I'm in the appointment, and the nurse practitioner, I'd never met her before, but she's actually the wife of my doctor, my main doctor, who I've known for the 5 years we've been there. And he's a great guy and he loves his freedom. Well, anyway, first time meeting her, the nurse practitioner, and she's questioning me about different health stuff. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh. And Mike's like, what, like, what's going on? And of course I felt rude. And I said, oh my gosh, do you know who Ryan Kelley is? And she goes, of course I do. And I said, he was just arrested in his house by 25 FBI agents. And so we actually prayed for him right then and there, and prayed for the family and everything like that. Of course, I had to finish my doctor's appointment. But as soon as I get out of there, I'm in the parking lot of the doctor's appointment. Of course, I'm dressed comfortably because we're going to drive, 24 hours home. And I call his wife and I'm like, hey, what's going on? She's, of course, a wreck. I mean, she actually was much more put together than I might have been in her situation, but she didn't know what to do. And his sister was trying to help with things, and his mom, and, reporters were already swarming their house. And this is just, 2.5 hours after it happened. It was ridiculous. So somebody spilled the beans somehow that reporters could be all the way out there already at that point. But so she needed to get her kids out of there. And I offered to go to the house to kind of help be that buffer. But she was just going to take the kids to a family member's house. And then she was trying to figure out when and where she could see Ryan, when the court hearing was going to be. She was given a whole bunch of misinformation. At that point, she's been told, oh, he's being moved to Newaygo. His hearing won't be until, tomorrow, meaning today, Friday. And it was just a nightmare. She didn't have an attorney yet for him. She didn't know who to turn to. Well, keep in mind, I have my Allegan County case. I literally just 2 days before yesterday filed the next round of interlocutory appeals. I just had a funeral in my family of a close loved one, and I'm about to drive 24 hours home. So I said to her, listen, I don't feel like I'm the best person to take on this case right now, but it's short notice and stuff is obviously shady. If you don't find anybody you can trust before the hearing, don't worry about it. I got you. I will be there. I'll represent him because I'm licensed in that court. It was the Western District of Michigan Federal District Court. So at least we had that plan. So of course it means I have to run back into my doctor's office just to change back into my dress from the funeral. So I had something a little bit fancier than my comfy clothes. Jeez. I had my good friend Joe Moss, who is a huge Second Amendment advocate and running for Ottawa County Commission, commissioner in Ottawa County, Michigan. But I said, Joe, do you happen to know anybody that has the federal court rules on hand? Because I only brought the state court rules with me to Michigan. So he had to print like 2 or 3 reams of paper just to get me all the court rules. Another friend was going to watch my dog, who was sitting in my car already, ready to go back to Florida. And then I'm calling the U.S. Marshal's office and the U.S. Attorney's office and the U.S. District Court. And I'm getting the runaround like you wouldn't believe. And I'm not identifying myself as like some Joe Schmo or some, whatever, like not identifying myself. No, I'm saying I'm calling for Ryan Kelley, and I am Katherine Henry, and I'm his attorney. So I need to figure out when my client has a hearing and where he is so that I can meet with him before the hearing. And they played games with me like none other. I got bounced around. I got denied information. They never would tell me what the charges were over the phone. The last time I had a phone call with one of them, it was actually ended up being the U.S. attorney that showed up in the court hearing later on that afternoon. I believe his name was Chris something. Man, that guy was a jackass. And I mean, they were all awful to me, but he at least confirmed that there were 4 charges. But of course, wouldn't tell me what they were, which I don't know why, because somebody had already leaked what the charges were, and they were all over social media. I just wanted to know if that document was in fact true.
Right.
But any rate, it was awful, and something felt terribly, terribly wrong. Why? Just stop and think about this for a second, guys. Whether this is about, the January 6th stuff, whether it's about, a weapons charge or anything else that you're charged with, this could happen to any one of us, right? We're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And a prosecutor has to prove every single element of the offense, every single part of an offense beyond a reasonable doubt before you can be even considered to be guilty of the offense. Does this sound like, and it ended up being 4 misdemeanors that he's charged with from January 6th. Does that sound like the kind of treatment that somebody should be given for 4 misdemeanors?
So hold on a minute. Misdemeanors, which is a crime, but it's not considered a high crime. And I thought, I know you're not normally a criminal lawyer, but you know more about this than I do.
Oh no, normally I do criminal stuff. Yeah, I've been a public defender in 2 different states.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I know you have a pretty diverse portfolio. So, but last time I checked, normally when there's a misdemeanor, a lot of times they'll ask them if they'd come down to the jail or courthouse and just simply turn themselves in or issue a bench warrant. It seems a little heavy-handed to have over 20 agents show up that are armed for misdemeanors. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that was one of the first things that was quite despicable. Never in my life have I heard of a situation where you're going to, ransack somebody's house, where you're going to show up with so much you would think he was on America's Most Wanted, that he had been some school shooter or something. That's how much force from the federal government showed up at his door first thing in the morning to scare the crap out of his wife and traumatize his 6 children.
Now, I'm going to add something to that, though. Obviously, it's to scare his children, his wife, to scare him, but I think it's to scare not only all the Michigan residents, but I think it's to scare everybody in this whole country.
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. And the timing. So earlier you mentioned the fact that, the race is, it was most recently at 10 official candidates for the Republican primary for the race of governor. And that it had just been brought down to 5. Well, literally, it has just been brought down to 5. And I want to say, within 48 hours before this arrest, maybe even less than that, was when the poll results came out showing that Ryan Kelley was now not just the front runner, but by far the front runner out of all 5 remaining candidates. The timing of this, if you look just at that alone, is suspect. How about we look at the timing of, for example, in my case, the initial charge was trespass, which, by the way, FYI, side note, you are not guilty, cannot ever be guilty of criminal trespass for being physically present on property open to the general public, whether it's privately or publicly owned. If it's open to the general public, can't be guilty of trespass. But anyway, so that was my initial charge that I was given that day. And then they waited almost a whole year before they added, the night before the first or the second trial date we were supposedly having, in July of 2021, they added a disturbing the peace charge. So that timing was suspect, because it's like, really? There was no allegation ever that I did anything to disturb the peace, but now all of a sudden, your case is crap. So you're going to try to take this weaselly way out of it and think that I'm going to plead down to something, whatever. So in his situation, he didn't have any charges. And this is supposedly from him being at the Capitol, at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, 2021. So we're talking, what is it, 18 months later?
18 months later.
Yeah. So the timing there is also suspect because, I mean, clearly they weren't in a hurry about this. And my understanding, as the national media has actually reported, is that they are actually, if you've seen, I don't know if I could say this, the movie that's out there, documentary. I'm going to try not to use keywords, but
Yep, that
anyway,
has to do with
that
something that's
particular
a mix
film.
between a horse and a donkey.
Yep, yep. So they in that documentary they explained that for the January 6th cases, the FBI has been using cell phone metadata to locate people, so they know which cell phones were at the Capitol, at the U.S. Capitol that day, and so they've known all along, right? They've known from day one. So it does take time to sort all that out, but it certainly they've already had.
Oh, it looks like Catherine just broke up a little bit. She's driving, guys. She has a lot of information on this, though, so we're lucky to have her tonight. She should be back in just a second. Like, literally, you're hearing this stuff from the fake news media, but Catherine was involved in this stuff, like, right near the beginning, like when it started. So just bear with the technical difficulties because you guys are truly getting an insider's perspective that you're not going to hear anywhere on the news. So, are you back, Catherine?
Yeah,
Okay.
I am. I'm so sorry, guys. It's also raining here now, so I'm sure that's not helping. But wherever here is, I think I'm still in Ohio. Um, Cincinnati. I'm in Cincinnati, so
Okay.
go Drew Carey show. Anyway, so um, the I'm trying to think of where I was. Sorry, guys. So yeah, so that cell phone data is stuff that they've had that data long enough that they were able to identify these, so-called perpetrators and bring charges against them, and then literally go all the way through trial on some of these cases. So clearly, they had the same data long ago for Ryan Kelley. Why on earth did they think they needed to wait this long? Well, he was not as much of a threat. They waited until he was a political threat before they decided to take any sort of action. They were timing this so that this would take him down and take down, quite frankly, anybody else who was thinking about standing up and, getting involved. And if any other candidates thought they were going to fight for freedom or, whatever the case may be. And I've known Ryan since longer than that. And I actually talked to Ryan on January 6th. Um, Let me put it this way, though. There's something else about when they raided his home and they were looking for all this evidence. First of all, what kind of evidence do you think anybody would still have from any kind of crime if you're talking about 17 or 18 months later? That's just stupid.
Wow.
Second of all, especially in a house with 6 kids, do you really think stuff's going to be left preserved when you have 6 children in the same house with you?
I
Second of
have
all,
one, and yeah.
exactly. I have 4. And so, second of all, you guys have probably seen, I'm sure it made it to some of the national news stories too, but the 4 misdemeanor charges were essentially like trespassing. Oh, I'm in Kentucky now. Are essentially trespassing, in a restricted government facility, destructing property. Um,
We're losing you just a little
froze
bit.
me again. Different variations on the.
You're breaking up just a little bit right now. Here's what's crazy, guys.
Come on.
I have the FBI fact sheet. I was screen sharing it, and I can pull it up in a second. But these are the alleged facts. I want to emphasize alleged facts that the feds are saying. They're saying that while somebody was tearing down a barrier, meaning just one of those, like, they kind of look like a bike rack, that as somebody else was tearing down a barrier, that Ryan Kelley helped support the person to keep him from falling over for a second. Like, that's basically the essence of one of his destruction of property charges. So these are very, very weird charges that are based on, like, he was standing near somebody when they did something, or there's a spot where the FBI is showing that he kind of like puts his hands up in the air like he's beckoning people. Now keep in mind, he said publicly many times he never went inside the Capitol building. And if you look at the actual allegations from the feds, I'm going to share this real quick with you guys again while Katherine comes back. This is the fact sheet. I don't know how to share it here on YouTube, but I will go over to locals sometime late tonight or tomorrow, and make it where you guys can look at this. It says, in a further attempt to identify. So they're going through all these different identifications, if you will, right? I'm just taking a peek over here past my camera to see if Katherine's coming back. They're literally saying, like, of these misdemeanor charges. See, there's a picture of somebody, like, allegedly, see that barrier? I have it kind of there on the right side of the screen. Oh, look, I'm not giving legal advice, but I'm just reading the plain reading of what this says here. And these are, like, very, very, you guys make up your mind. Weak, circumstantial, whatever you want to call it. It's just weird. Okay, I have you back now.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying for my phone, so we'll see if this is any better. I'm it's having an issue, but okay.
I was just filling them in, these charges. The way I'm reading this, I have this so-called fact statement of facts from the feds here, alleged fact. The way I was reading it, the plain reading of it, tell me if I'm wrong, where he was destroying government property was because as somebody else was taking a barrier down, he helped support the person so they didn't fall over that was removing the barrier. Like, it's really weird stuff.
You know what? I actually wasn't even allowed to see the statement of facts when I was trying to get information to help Ryan yesterday. So I haven't even had a chance to see that. But again, if it's talking about him damaging property or him trespassing, what kind of evidence would somebody have anyway? That doesn't even make sense to me. You know what I mean? Why would they need to go through his entire home and try to collect evidence? Like, I don't know. The whole thing is obviously disgusting, but stuff like that is, it makes it, the common sense approach, people should be going, whoa, why, anyway,
yes, This is the statement of facts that I'm kind of scrolling through. I don't know if you can see it on your screen. It's a 16-page document. I'm going to share it over on locals, but they're going through here alleging that he took his cell phone out. Can you see that picture where it shows him kind of with his hands up in the air there?
I think so, yeah.
They're alleging that means he was beckoning people. They're saying things like that he used his cell phone to take a picture of an architectural feature. I mean, these are the kind of, like, hardcore evidence things that they say that they have.
How dare he take a picture of an architectural feature of a piece of government property that he partially owns as a member of the public in the United States? How dare he?
Yes, and then it shows an alleged individual in this picture that's, like, reaching for scaffolding there, and Ryan Kelley's, like, allegedly, like, helping to keep this. He's supporting him, presumably to break his fall so he doesn't fall over, like, stuff like that.
Oh my gosh. I guess let me put it this way. Not only was the 25 FBI agents in his home and in front of his kids and scaring the crap out of his family and searching for evidence that just wouldn't even exist, let alone 17 or 18 months later. Not only is all of that insane, not only was it insane that they played games with his wife and with me, and wouldn't just be straightforward and say, yep, he's going, he's being taken to the U.S. Marshal's office within the downtown, Grand Rapids federal building, and he's going to have a hearing at 2:30 p.m. It'll be his arraignment. They could have just said that. But so we have that level of shadiness happening. And then on top of that, they put the man in shackles. Like, they had chains around his entire waist and had his handcuffs, of course, like tied to the shackles. So he can't move his arm down or anything like that. Because clearly being present on January 6th, and as you say, physically supporting another human being so they don't fall, and taking pictures of architectural, elements of a building, that's clearly warranting such a dangerous activity that they should be able to, walk the man away and, make sure he doesn't endanger others. I mean, this father of 6 children. I mean, seriously? I found it the most disturbing when they issued the bond paperwork. They didn't actually physically require money. And, the family, there was a lot of miscommunication and a lot of confusion, but the family was able to hire a law firm who supposedly has represented several of these clients, from the January 6th issues before. And prior to the hearing, when he's saying, yeah, they're probably going to say he can't leave the state. Excuse me, he can't leave the district, meaning the Western District of Michigan. I said to him, that's not going to fly. He is a candidate, the front-runner candidate in the Republican race for the entire state of Michigan. That means he needs to be able. Yeah.
Well, let's clarify that, because there's some misconceptions about that. People say the race is over. He can no longer run. Is he still a candidate, and is he going to keep pressing forward from what you know?
Sorry, you froze a little bit. Some people are saying what?
Some people are starting to say now the race is over. Since he got arrested and accused of misdemeanors, he's out of the race. Is he still running?
Absolutely not.
Legally still run?
Every person who is charged with a crime is innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law. We don't have to lose our rights because someone has accused us of a crime. That is not the way this country is founded. And quite frankly, that's not the way the crazy liberals want it to go either, because they're the ones jumping up and down, screaming about the rights of criminals. I'm not even going to mention names, but there's been a lot of situations in the last couple of years where we've seen riots resulting because in many of those situations, someone who was a dangerous criminal ended up getting harmed in some way by law enforcement. And so now we're rioting in the streets because they want to make sure even the dangerous known criminals have their rights. Well, how about the non-dangerous, not actually criminals should also have their rights?
Yes.
People like me, people like Ryan Kelley, people like anybody in these situations. So no, he is totally legally, constitutionally guaranteed that right to continue his race for governor at this point. And quite frankly, I told him, God can take this and use this, all of the evil that came out of the last 24, well, now 36 hours. God can use all of this for his good. Yeah. He can use it for all of our good. So, hi, Jane. There is, think about, okay, I got to tell you this because it really felt like a God moment. Okay. So like I said, I had some discussions, intense discussions with what ended up being his attorney for the hearing. I wanted to ensure his rights were actually protected. And, I didn't know this guy. I didn't mean him any disrespect, but, I love Ryan and Tabitha, and I just would hate to see any person have their rights stripped away from them. So at any rate, it was a challenging day. And at this point, we're talking probably 3:00, 3:30 in the afternoon. I'm not even sure at what point it was at this point. But, they were saying they were going to release him on his own recognizance, and he wouldn't have to post, for bail money or anything like that. And so they took him with shackles and all. Even after the judge just approved all that, they took him shackles and all back out of the courtroom, which I thought was just absolutely ridiculous. Well, his attorney turns around and just kind of goes like, and 5. And we're all like, what? And he goes, 5. Well, he should be out in like 5 or 10 minutes. But the way he did it, it was like we're supposed to know what the 5 was. And so anyway, he said, yeah, he should be out in 5 or 10 minutes. And we're all like, oh, great. Didn't want to make too much of a kerfuffle about it because we're still in the courtroom. So anyway, we're leaving, and I'm thinking, okay, his attorney is going to be with him, explaining things to him, making the next, steps, whatever. And then I was like, oh, well, he doesn't look like he's following him. Maybe he's going to hang out with, Tabitha and Ryan's mom and, let them know what just happened, what the next steps are, whatever. He's obviously going to go to one of the two of them and give them information. That's what I would think any good attorney would do. Well, I don't know where he went, but he didn't go to either one. So I was trying to give the family space and whatnot. I mean, it's not like Ryan and I are best friends or anything. We're very good friends, and I love them, their whole family. But I'm trying to give them space, and then I see they're trying to get in the elevator, and there's media that are like trying to squeeze in the elevator with them. So what do? I myself and my husband, we like squeeze on into the elevator and shove a few of them out. And then there was, one guy left in there, and somebody else was like, get out, this is family only. And, you're media. And he's like, no, I just want to ride to the bottom. That's it, I promise. And they're like, no. So he finally, tucks his tail between his legs, and he leaves the elevator, and we're on the 6th floor. So we shut the door. We're all kind of laughing because somebody had made a smart ass comment to the media guy as he was leaving the elevator. And anyway, so we, it was like 10 seconds later, if that, all of a sudden the doors, the elevator stops and the doors open. And it was so quick that none of us really had a chance to think about what was going on. We certainly didn't expect that we'd be down on the 1st floor already. Well, anyway, the door opens, and I'm the one standing like right there when it opens. And my husband was kind of the next person to see the opening. So the door opens, and we're on the 5th floor, and I turn and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I just screamed in his face. It was Ryan. And he had this big smile on his face. And it's just Ryan. There's nobody else there. And I'm like, there's 4 other elevators to choose from? I mean, there's like a whole bank of elevators to choose from. And yet he presses the button and gets there at just the right time to get on the same exact elevator with his wife and his newborn baby and his mom and, family and close friends. I'm sure you might know our friend Maya. Anyway, it was, so he gets on, and we're all like high-fiving him and hugging him, and, he gives his wife a kiss and his baby a kiss. And so we're just like screaming in his face, like, oh my gosh, and it just felt like, even thinking about it now, it was like this wonderful God moment where, could you imagine if the media had been on the elevator when he, and the doors open and he gets on there? I mean, it would have been a different feel. He wouldn't have had that time with his family.
They probably wouldn't have reported that, though. And that's why I'm glad you're on here right now. They're not reporting any of that side of it. They say like, oh, the former front runner and former candidate, and people are already counting this guy out. And
they should. You know what? Every single loser in this country should count Ryan Kelley out. All of you people who are too stupid to see the truth, you go ahead and you count him out. Just the same as you better damn well count me out and count me as pleading guilty in my own case. Because guess what? You go ahead and you underestimate us freedom fighting, Constitution loving Americans, and we're going to kick your ass from here to next Tuesday, every day of the week. Ryan Kelley is not only going and continuing this. He got on my understanding, all kinds of news outlets last night, from Tucker Carlson to Sean Hannity and a bunch of, mainstream media and not so mainstream media. He is going to utilize this notoriety that they're trying to make it into. He's going to turn that around and use that to his benefit, because now guess what? What candidate has more press than Ryan Kelley? Out of all 5 of these gubernatorial candidates, out of every single candidate across the United States that's running for race for governor, or quite frankly, any race, how many are going to have more news coverage right now than Ryan Kelley? Not a single one.
No, you're right. You're right. And for all the people hanging out in the chat, there's over 200 people watching. Look, guys, it doesn't matter if you live in Michigan. You should really look closely at voting for Ryan Kelley. But even if you're not going to vote for, I want all of you guys to get energy from this too. This is literally a referendum to not only the people from Michigan, but to the American people right now. Are we going to be afraid of the federal government and just let them turn this into a completely communist country? Or are we going to say, no thanks. The will of the people is this. I'd like to see you stop us, right?
Exactly. And here's the thing. From the second that elevator door opened and we could see Ryan's, and like I was face to face with him, that man was smiling ear to ear. Is it because he loves being tortured by the federal government? No. Is it because he was super happy about his house being, ransacked by 25 agents and his wife and children being terrified? No. He is, is that Rob? I think that's
What's happening, Rob. Nice to see you, man.
He is just one of those genuine people. And I didn't even get a chance to ask him, like, hey, why are you smiling? He is just one of those genuine people that I'm sure was thrilled that he was finally out, that he was thrilled that, he is given better due process opportunities than some of these other January.
We're losing you just a second here. Can you hear me? Guys, look, somebody mentioned something a few minutes ago in the chat, and I want you guys to think about this. Somebody talked about that Reich that was supposed to last 1,000 years in Germany, where they had the Night of the Long Knives. That is an interesting question to bring up, actually, isn't it? I just saw that earlier in the comments. Katherine will be back in just a second. I know where she's at. She's in like northern Kentucky area, and it gets pretty bad service on that area. Are you back?
I think I'm back. Can you hear me?
Okay. Okay, I can hear you now. Yep.
Oh. Okay. Oh.
We're losing you again. Shout out to Kentucky. It's a great state. I love all the Kentuckians hanging out here, but you guys have got too many hills, and it makes the cell phone service a little bit rough going through that area, right? All right, I'm getting a little spiral here. We'll bring her back in 1 second here as soon as the cell phone service comes back. But yeah, I reached out to Ryan Kelley and his campaign. They're clearly super busy at the moment. I didn't get a response yet, but maybe we'll get him on in a future stream. But this is awesome. Katherine has a lot of behind the scenes insight on this that I think is important. So are you back?
I am, and I have full bars, so I have no idea why this is doing this. So I'm just trying to think if there are any other highlights that would be super important to cover before my phone decides to freak out again. Are there any other questions, I guess, that you can think of that should be covered?
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought in the whole behind the scenes part about how there's still a high morale with him and his family and all of his supporters. And I want to pass that on to all of everybody watching throughout these 50 United States. We need that morale, right?
Absolutely.
Is there anything you guys are wondering here? I mean, there's a very robust conversation going on in the chat right now, and I'll catch up to all you guys in just a minute. Let's see if we have anything specifically. If you guys have any questions for Katherine, I'll grab those real quick. I see Lori DeVries in here. She's awesome. I know she's been helping so much with all of your endeavors.
Oh, yeah. I'm just trying to get her to move down to Florida, but
Shout out to you, Lori. Now, look, right now, in my opinion, we have one of the most, and it's tough because there's a lot of bad ones. We have one of the most tyrannical governors in these whole United States. And if you guys remember, and look, I'm not calling for a civil war or calling for a call to action here, but I think we're in a sort of cultural civil war right now. I really do.
Yes.
If you look at the North versus the South, it actually started when there were states that were peacefully seceding from the Union. And then you have down in South Carolina, there was a fort, and the Union soldiers wouldn't leave the fort. And finally, South Carolina said, get out. And that's when things very, very quickly turned. I'm hoping that we can just take all of this encouragement right now and have just a peaceful separation. The rest of these people, they can go do whatever they want to do. But clearly, people in Michigan and throughout all these 50 states want people like Ryan Kelley. They're going to come in there and stand up for your inalienable rights, right?
Absolutely. And I'm just thinking, I have a friend, his name is David Blair. He was spearheading the recall Gretchen Whitmer petition in, I think it was still 2020, might have been 2021. They've come after him, and he has some misdemeanor charges that he's trying to fight, and the whole process has been shady. I'm thinking of Adam Heikela, who was in the American Patriot Council with me and Ryan Kelley.
I like Adam.
From the very beginning. He's a bit much sometimes, but he loves his freedom, and he definitely doesn't, take crap sitting down. So, of course, he was charged with some misdemeanor charges and had a trial, and there was a lot of hinky stuff happening in his trial. So now he's working on an appeal. There's so many people. Our friend Chris Shornack, he was in the American Patriot Council with us from the beginning, from April of 2020, and his brother. I might be misremembering this, but I think his brother had received criminal charges from the January 6th incident as well. There's so many people that I can think of that, it's not just the January 6th stuff. I have a friend who's a sheriff who's involved in the American Patriot Council from the beginning as well. And that sheriff is being investigated for some bogus crap related to some E-Day stuff from, November 2020. There is just all because he made sure he was doing his job to do investigations of illegal activity on that day. Now they're trying to go after him.
So
anyway,
they could come after all of us at this point, is what the moral of the story is.
Think about it. I mean, they go after people that, average Joes that aren't really getting out there, but they're purposely targeting the people that have been out there from day one, making a lot of noise. And, they tried to take down the Michigan militia guys by, doing all this fake kidnapping crap. And two of the guys involved in that, the Knoll brothers, they are some of the sweetest, kindest, best human beings, fathers and husbands and hardworking guys that you could ever meet. And my understanding is that they still have yet to have their preliminary examination in their charges. And it's like they were taken very, abruptly away from their families, and their houses completely, violently ransacked and damaged in cold weather, nonetheless. And their families were held hostage by 3 separate law enforcement agencies. And, their families, their parents, their young children and their wives were traumatized by all that was going on. And like I said, 3 law enforcement agencies involved in this. They were not told what the charges were. They were not told where they would be going. Their families were not told. I'm getting the call, and it's like, I think it was like 10:30, 11:30 at night. And if I wasn't working on the brief to fight the Michigan governor's executive orders as she was trying to revive them after the Supreme Court had said no to her, if I wasn't trying to finish that up so I could get it filed the next day, I would have driven down there myself. I mean, it's the first time I've ever punched a wall in my life, but I punched that wall because I knew I couldn't be in two places at once, and I had no idea, who I could possibly send to help them. But my point is, they are trying to take down whoever they can in whatever ways they can. And why do they fight so hard against some of this E-Day stuff? Well, let's look at what Jocelyn Benson did, what was it, 2.5 weeks or so before the election in 2020. She sends out this directive to everybody saying you can't carry firearms at polls.
I reported on that.
Yeah, and so I have a friend. I have several Second Amendment friends, but one I'm pretty sure my friend Tom Lambert, who used to be the president of Michigan Open Carry, was involved in a lawsuit that ended up making it to the Michigan Court of Appeals, where they basically denied the appeal and did it as a one-page order saying, listen, there's laws on the books. If you're worried about people breaking laws on E-Day with firearms, there are already laws that handle the whole gamut of things that you could be worried about. You can't just make up a new rule and enforce it as though it's law. And so, there were people that were fighting that. And, so what do? They just want to shut down anybody who's fighting against any of this in any way. It's something, I don't know if you guys know this, but attorneys that have been fighting against that E-Day stuff, or some of these other, problematic topics, they have been singled out and they have been targeted by the attorney general in their state. So, for example, Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell. In Michigan, I have a friend. Why am I blanking on all my friends? Anyway, there are friends that Scott Hagerstrom. He was the one who was Michigan licensed that worked with Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani when they were filing their complaints in Michigan court over that stuff, at the end of 2020. But they're trying to go after any attorney. They have point blank said, we are going to go after every attorney to try to
I think you're losing your signal just
Can
a
you guys
little
hear
bit
me?
here. I can again now. We're losing your signal though.
Okay,
now you're back.
sorry about that, guys. So anyway, the point is, they're trying to go after any attorney that will stand up. Clearly, they tried to make an example out of me when I was there representing petition circulators. They wanted to make sure, they knew I was coming as an attorney. They knew I was coming simply to represent the rights of individuals who asserted that they had a legal right to be present at the property. And the deputy welcomed that conversation, but it was like a trap. And so they proceeded to illegally and unconstitutionally arrest me. Well, of course they did that, because think about it. If they're able to get away with that, what circulator in their right mind is ever going to want to petition in public ever again if they think that they're going to be arrested or that their attorney would be arrested? And let's look at it from the attorney's perspective. What attorney in their right mind is ever going to risk their own freedom going out to, whatever situation to represent their client's rights if they have a risk of being arrested themselves? I mean, well, I would, obviously, because I knew that was the possibility, but it's just insane. So they have been trying these scare tactics from day one, but there's a reason why, there's a couple reasons, several, why I wouldn't just stop in my case, because my case has implications across the board. If I'm willing to bow down to their BS and their scare tactics, then no attorney is ever going to be willing to take a stand again. And no circulator is ever going to be willing to circulate a petition again. And no one's ever going to be willing to stand up to law enforcement when any of their rights are being obviously trampled and violated. Ryan Kelley is going to do the same thing. He is going to keep charging forward with his race, because that's what he knows God is calling him to do. But if he were to back down and fold and give in and say, I'm just done, obviously I can't win the race now, what message would that send to all the non-politicians out there, all the average Joe American people who simply can't take the bull crap anymore and they just want to make a difference? No one would ever want to run for anything ever again. It's hard enough convincing people to run for things, but they would certainly never risk that again. So Ryan's got to continue in his fight the same as I have to continue in mine and every other freedom fight out there.
Yes, and you don't need to run for politics to do that, guys. You don't have to be famous. Trust me. Ryan Kelley's nobody without all of the people helping him fight in this race. All of the independent patriots, grassroots people throughout these 50 states. Look, everybody's just as important as everybody else, and you guys all need to start realizing that. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, we have to stick together and really, my friend David Blair, that, like I said, he's one of those that was leading in the charge. He helped in my petition in a lot of ways too, but he's one that was given some trumped up misdemeanor charges throughout his freedom fight. And he said he feels very passionately about people like me and him and Ryan. Just today, he's saying, if everybody just gave $5 and we had some big, GoFundMe type of account, and if everybody just gave $5, everybody in Michigan, that's 10 million people. That would be $50 million to be able to fight against everything. So nobody would have to go it alone.
Yeah.
So I know the question out there, it looks like from Rob, is, how can we help Ryan with his upcoming legal fees? I'm sure they must have some sort of, GoFundMe or something set up. I personally didn't think to ask him about that at this point, but for sure you can donate to the campaign, which also is going to help his fight for freedom. But as specifically to the legal expenses, who knows, maybe on his campaign page, he'll have a link. If he were smart, he'd put a link to the information about the arrest and ways to donate. But on his Facebook, I'm sure too.
Let me add to that real quick. Before you lose service again, I want to talk about how to help you. I know of another event, 2A Livingston here, that's helping with. So I can share a flyer with them in a minute here when you get off on another thing that's going on, a Second Amendment event that I'm going to be going to, guys. That's going to help Ryan out too. So how can we help you? Because with these appeals, and whoever's just joining, Katherine's appealing in procedural ways. She's not been found guilty. She's innocent, and she's not going to get guilty. But your appeals and stuff, I know, are racking up some charges. So how can people help you?
Yeah, I think somebody might have shared the link earlier. Now that I'm on my phone, I can't see the comments anymore. But if you go to my website, restorefreedomkh.com, there's a shop donate tab. And I try to make it pretty easy for people to essentially pick and choose which way that you'd like to help. Some people want to specifically help with my freedom fight in terms of the legal research and the briefs that I'm doing, or the newsletters that I send out, or the Restore Freedom Weekly show that I do at noon on Tuesdays. Some people want to donate for my family so that we can keep paying our bills and I can pay my student loans while I'm doing this freedom fight. But there's a tab specifically to help pay towards my costs of the appeal. So far, my out-of-pocket expenses, now mind you, I'm the attorney in the case, so this isn't like me paying another attorney. My out-of-pocket expenses for transcript fees and court filing fees and service fees, subpoena fees, is about $3,500. And I know that the circuit court judge that I just had to appeal to is going to screw me over, and she hates the Constitution. She's supposedly Republican, Judge Baker in Allegan County. But I'm going to then have to dump about another $1,000 or more into my appeal at the next level for the Michigan Court of Appeals. And it'll be exponentially larger going to levels higher than that. So definitely any way that you guys can help, whether it's, $5 or whether it's $5,000, every little bit can help, because there are going to be endless expenses. And you better believe when my case is finally done, I'm going to hold all of them, the sheriff's deputies, the 5 prosecutors who have touched my file, the 2 district court judges, the 1 circuit court judge, so far at least 3 court of appeals judges that have all touched my case. They all will be held responsible, because every single government officer takes an oath to support the U.S. and Michigan constitutions in Michigan. It's simple as that. And if they're going to be willing to either do these things to me or to sit back and allow these things to be done to me by another office holder, then obviously they're going to be willing to trample your freedom as well. So they have another thing coming. So obviously I'll have filing fees and you know, all kinds of stuff associated with that as well. But my website is a great place to do that. I did have friends like Jane Locke, who's on here, and a few others that have shared that that link on Facebook as well. So if you can't donate, please share the word, you know, share that link and ask people, tell people a little bit about what it is. And there's a video right on my website, restorefreedomkh.com, that shows you what happened that day. And so if people want to see what we're talking about and why,
Yeah, go there
you
and
can
watch
share
it,
that
guys.
too. Yeah, that would be great. And you know, it's not just my phone. It was several people that were all live streaming that day. But you know, that will share with people what happened, the craziness of it, that it happened in front of my 6-year-old daughter, and that this is a fight that is very real, and it's very much something that could happen to any one of us, and that's why we have to stick together. So, like I said, if you can't, even if you can donate, if you could share the word so other people can donate it as well, that would be greatly appreciated. And if you don't do much of social media and you just happen to, you know, listen in when your spouse is doing this on their, you know, listening to this show on their computer or something like that, then at least if you can offer prayer to me, to Ryan, to David Blair, to every freedom fighter who is being attacked right now, definitely prayer is something that we can use. I know, talking to Tabitha yesterday, Tabitha would greatly appreciate prayer for herself, her husband, their family, you know, their kids, every piece of that. So those would be the best ways to help.
And Tabitha is Ryan's wife, by the way, just so you guys know. My person that helps me, my wife, she just said she was having internet problems. She had posted your link several times. When this stream's over, I'll go ahead and post the Restore Freedom KH for all of you guys in the pinned comment here. So you guys will be able to catch it again on replay. But Linda posted it a few times, and I just saw her say she had internet issues. So we're
See,
all
it's not just me.
fun. Yeah.
The government's all over me. What can I say?
Well, anyways, I appreciate you coming on tonight to give us some behind the scenes encouragement and whatnot. And yeah, it's crazy out there, isn't it?
It is. And oh man, you know, I can't wait till, you know, we get to actually hang out in person again someday, and I actually get to touch my gun again, because you know, between remodeling and writing legal briefs, I'm not even sure I know how to fire the thing anymore. But I know my husband probably feels the same way. He's crying actually about it right now. Oh,
Oh,
no,
he's a gun guy. We've talked guns more than once. What's happening, Mike?
He says hi to you, babe. Mike says hi. So we definitely look forward to definitely hanging out and being able to, you know, shoot our guns and relaxing and being around friends who love their freedom just as much as we do.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on tonight, and I will let you get back to your fun trip through Kentucky.
Oh, yeah. Yay. Wish me luck getting to Florida yet, somehow. Yeah.
Drive safe, guys. For real. Be safe out there.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
All right. See you, Katherine. All right. That was pretty cool. I wanted to give you guys an insight on that because, well, to have Katherine help give you guys some insight. Because you're going to hear different things from the national media. And as you heard her say, she was literally there, like boots on the ground. Like she was at the courthouse. And it's getting crazy out there, guys. Like literally. But what are you going to do? I mean, are you just going to sit there and just give up? And I know that's the easy thing to do. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of people are doing right now. Just kind of giving up or saying, well, whatever. But it's not just you, unfortunately. You have to think about your kids and your children's kids and their kids. And I've been talking about this for a while, guys. And we need to keep talking about it because I just feel it right now. There's a temperature And it's like this. It's like it's raising in the room, and you can just feel the pressure from both sides that are ready just to completely and utterly collide. One side wants to make it where when there's a grassroots candidate that has, like we said, the front runner, the GOP front runner, that's going to be running up against Gretchen here when the primaries are over. They wait 1.5 years to charge him with misdemeanors. Now, right around the same time, there's an omnibus gun bill that's going to, let's just say, ban everything. Will all of it go through the Senate? No. But think about red flag laws. Any internet troll, any ex-girlfriend, ex-wife, maybe somebody random down the street, maybe some random police officer. Think about that for a minute. 25 police officers, federal police, Fed boys, glowies, whatever, right? Show up to arrest a man in front of his 6 children and his lovely wife while she's making breakfast for them. On a misdemeanor? What happens if red flag laws go through? What are they going to do to you? Just think about this for a minute. I don't know if Ryan Kelley's rich or he's poor, but I know he's a real estate agent. And hopefully soon to be the next governor of Michigan, the 50th governor of Michigan. I'm a nobody, guys. I know most of you are all nobodies, and that's why I like hanging out with you. What could they do to you if a red flag law goes through? And I think almost everybody here, I'd like to say everybody, but I'm a realist. Almost everybody here agrees with me. Look, we cherish the whole Bill of Rights, all of it. The right to due process. It's very, very important. Due process under the law is literally like about the only thing that keeps America different than many other countries. Countries that we fought a revolutionary war against, for example. Due process. Red flag laws. Literally end due process. A right delayed is a right denied. There's no such thing as take the guns first, then due process. That's a fallacy that doesn't exist. A lot of us are, Second Amendment people, obviously. We cherish the right that the Second Amendment protects. Did not give you, but protects. Your rights are given to you, endowed by your Creator. And I've said this so many times, you need to think about that. The Second Amendment is there, not for if, because there's no if about it, but for when they come for all the rest. They're coming for all the rest right now as fast as they can. And there is going to be a point in time where people show up and say, arrest this man. And then another group of people show up and say, no, arrest that man. And both sides have guns, and both sides, maybe the police, maybe the people. I don't know for sure. But this has happened in this country before. This has happened in places like Germany, many, many other places. And it gets to the point where people are going to, like I said, have a time for choosing. Now, you only have a choice in the matter as long as you have firearms. That's what makes America different. That's why they didn't just talk about it. No, they literally enumerated it. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The Second Amendment is so beautiful because it literally tells you why. To protect all these freedoms, to protect Katherine Henry's ability to petition the government. There were petition circulators well within the law. Go watch her video at restoreofreedomkh.com. You'll see what I mean. That right was denied. And she was arrested for trying to intervene and advocate on behalf of her clients. Ryan Kelley's out there saying, we don't need more government. That's the problem. We need not less government. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And Ryan Kelley is friends with a couple of the prominent militias in Michigan. And he does wear a gun on his hip frequently when he campaigns. And they want to stop that. They want to stop the freedom of speech and of the press. Not the fake news, but the real press. People are willing to actually talk about things. And they want to make you too scared to even acknowledge, let alone exercise the rest of your natural rights. But even as Chairman Mao said, just think about this, but he was right. Killed more people than probably anybody in modern times anyways. Literally, probably more than most of the rest combined. He said all political power comes from the barrel of a gun. And all these different isms, socialism, fascism, all these isms, a lot of these people subscribe to the same ideologies today that hold mostly peaceful protests. Do you guys remember that? The summer of love and unity, as they just literally sat there and destroyed America. But somebody like Ryan Kelley was standing outside the Capitol, raising his hands up in the air as one of the exhibits, as alleged by the federal government. Somebody was grabbing onto a barrier and he helped support them while they were moving a barrier, allegedly. Just think about that for a minute. Think about all the carnage that you guys saw in the streets throughout America not too long before that. Clearly, the other side knows that all political power comes from the barrel of a gun. That's why they're trying to come after yours. And that's why the founding fathers literally wrote it down and said, this is important because they're going to come after the rest. Either foreign invaders and enemies or domestic invaders and enemies. And I have no doubt, like, look, they didn't know their exact names. They didn't know Gretchen. Thankfully, they didn't have to picture her face and know her name. But the founding fathers knew all about these type that are among us right now. And they knew all about an overreaching state. Like, literally, if you look at the words of the Declaration of Independence, look at the Bill of Rights. Not granted to you by government, but that government is there to protect. That the only reason the government would even exist at all is to protect your natural rights that are endowed by your Creator. These are laws of nature and of nature's God. That's what Thomas Jefferson wrote down on behalf of his fellow founding fathers, right? Think about that for a minute. And now they're trying to turn it around. And they're trying to distract you and say, oh, is the deer wearing Kevlar? No, it doesn't matter if it wears Kevlar or not, because the Second Amendment has absolutely nothing to do with hunting at all, actually. And why do you need? I need because it was put in place to protect against a tyrannical government. And if the government's not tyrannical now, then what the heck is it? Like, how would you even possibly describe it? Think about what's going on here right now. It's all at once. It's all at the same time. They're trying to get people disgruntled. They're trying to get people weak. I know most of you don't live in Michigan, but I hope tonight's stream was still, somewhat fun for you. We need to make this stuff fun. We need to make this stuff encouraging. You guys want to sit and rip on Gretchen and rip on the former vice president? That's awesome. Because again, politics is downstream from culture. And it's been a mostly cold civil war, mostly a cultural civil war going on, but I know we're in one right now. I say mostly because think of those mostly peaceful protests that occurred in the summer of love, right? George Floyd. You guys remember that? No, I've met Ryan Kelley a few times before. I was planning on having him on this show anyways. Hopefully I'll be able to get him on the show here rather soon. I was going to wait till it got just a little bit closer to the election. This is a true Second Amendment supporting guy. Like I said, literally, you can see in some of those exhibits, and I'll put that on Locals if you guys want to look at it. It's called the Statement of Facts, allegedly facts, right, that the government put together against candidate Ryan Kelley. He's the real deal when it comes to this stuff. Totally grassroots, like literally, and not even joking. And they're trying to, in my opinion and many other people's opinion, put a wrench in his spokes. And it has everything to do with Ryan Kelley and Katherine Henry's fight for so many different types of freedom. But the day she was arrested was primarily, I would characterize it as a First Amendment issue, right? Yes, they want to scare Katherine and they want to scare Ryan, of course, obviously, right? But actually, I think that's secondarily to who they're really trying to scare. I believe they're actually trying to scare you. Because we talked about tyrants earlier, didn't we? Just a few minutes ago. And when the government fears the people, there's tyranny. And I have no doubt they want you to be scared. But when the government fears the people, there's liberty. I mean, there's 10 million of us just in Michigan alone. Okay? There's over 300 million of us in these United States of America. They can't just arrest all of us. They can't just kill all of us just for wanting to be normal people. So don't be scared. Exercise your right to vote. I mean, I know there's not a lot of faith in these types of things anymore. I get it. But it's still your right. When we say things like you have the right to face your accuser, you have a right to a jury of your peers, and all these things that red flag laws violate, and we say, well, hold on, take the guns first, then due process. A right delayed is a right denied. Well, if you choose not to vote and you choose not to partake in your government at all, it might not be the government denying that, but you're denying it yourself. And I don't really know how much of a difference there is in the end. And look, I get it, guys. The former vice president. Look, I'm a realist. I get it. I already know what you guys are typing as fast as you can, and I get that too. But I'm still going to keep voting, guys. I'm still going to keep being an advocate and talking to people who are candidates, talking to my just fellow regular people that are just hanging out, because you guys all matter actually more than the candidates do. They're just supposed to be somebody representing you. But the former vice president, let's go, Brandon. I would note, hi, Susan Wiki, by the way. I don't want to miss not saying hi to Susan, okay, for the night. But I would note, according to Time Magazine, which is a NewsGuard certified source. Are we doing good, Susan? We're quoting Time Magazine. We can't talk about a lot of stuff here on YouTube, guys. You know that. The most popular and the most fortified of all time. Look, I get it. The most popular, let's go, Brandon. The former vice president is the most popular and the most fortified election of all time. I get all that. Now, there's different ways you can vote. You can vote with your ballot box. You can stand up on your soapbox. Or like those Southerners said at Fort Sumter down in South Carolina, they said, no, we're not part of the United States of America. Did you not hear us yet? We said leave and get out. Leave our state. We're not part of the United States. Do you guys remember that? I'm sure you don't literally remember it, but it happened, about 160 years ago now. There's the ballot box. There's the soapbox. And then they exercised the third option, which is they reached into the bullet box, didn't they? We've had a great civil war in this country before. We had a revolutionary war that we could say 1776 because that's when we declared our independence, but the shot heard around the world actually occurred over a year earlier in 1775. I don't want you guys shooting anybody. I don't want to shoot anybody, but I'm just saying that's where things have evolved in the past, right? There's different things that could happen here. I don't know what. When you hear Americans are literally getting polled right now, and almost 2/3, I think, in the recent polling say that they believe that we're in some sort of civil war or about to be in this country, it makes you wonder. When you see a front runner, thanks, Harry, I appreciate it, man. When you see a front runner, the GOP front runner for Michigan governor, that's going to try to clean up some of the corruption in this state. They bring up misdemeanor charges a year and a half after it happened, right around the time that he seems to be getting the momentum. I think I saw some people in the chat earlier and said they probably miscalculated, didn't they, on this one? He'll probably actually become more popular than ever before. But we live in very interesting times, right? It's that old Chinese curse. May you live in interesting times. And I definitely think that's the curse on this country right now. It's interesting, to say the least, isn't it? Now, there's a lot of stuff to be really angry over, and I don't blame you if you're angry. Like, I totally get it. But we need to find some stuff that's encouraging, some stuff that's to be hopeful for. There's other countries that keep coming into my comments and saying, don't give up your guns. Don't give up your rights. We lost them here. Pick your country, whether it's in England or whether it's in Italy or whether it's in just so many places. People come in and they're like, dude, like, we can barely even own anything here. And a lot of those people say, well, they would like to move to America someday. You know, I have mixed feelings on that. Some foreigners that come here and immigrate in the proper way do become some of the best American citizens ever. No doubt. Some of them move here and then try to turn it exactly like the oppressive country they left. I don't like that so much. Don't move into a state or even a county or a country and you hated everything about where you left from, but then you come over and you want to make it just like the crap hole that you just came from. I don't like that. But there's a lot of people that are like, man, I dream one day I'll be able to come to America, but at least I still have that dream, because once America's gone, there won't be anywhere to go. So this isn't to like make you guys scared. It's just to try to get your attention enough to truly think about what's going on here. And I hope all of you that are listening realize this. We lose this country, you're not going anywhere. Where are you going to go? Are you going to go to Canada? Maybe. And look, you can move wherever you want to. I don't care. Are you going to go there for better exercise of your natural right to keep and bear arms? Are you going to go to England? I don't know. Are you going to go to Australia? How about that? Maybe you could be in a concentration camp there. I don't know. Look, and there might be many, many things about many countries that you love way more than the United States. And if you do, great. Go move there right now. I'm being actually serious when I say that. But if you enjoy any rights that were endowed by your creator and that the government would be instituted among men, and the only reason the government would exist at all is to protect your natural rights that were given to you by your creator, given to you by God, you better protect them here, because there's nowhere for you to go, like at all. You know, we fought a great civil war in this country. We've also fought in many other world wars. World War I, World War II, many, many notable conflicts, Spanish-American War. Just think about that. These are back in the day. Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, back and forth between those countries several times. And I shouldn't start naming all the conflicts because I'm going to miss a couple. And it's not that they're less important. It's just that's to name a few. Just a few. Because we realized that if this evil empire spread throughout the world, it would take it over. And then now we see people right in our own backyard trying to do things. And it's really hard to tell the difference between them and the Viet Cong or China or North Korea or the Third Reich, the Night of the Long Knives, the Bolshevik Revolution, 1917, which was the precursor to the Bolsheviks that would then ultimately become the USSR. You look at a lot of their doctrines and things they would do to political opponents and things they would do to people. And then you can literally look in your own home state in many cases and in your own country, and you'll see stuff that's like actually very eerily similar, don't you? I just want you guys to think about this. And I want you to think about the fact that story Katherine shared, which I'm really glad she was on, because she was able to give us some insight behind the scenes that you're not going to get on the mainstream media, right? When Ryan Kelley, she, the elevator come up, and of all the elevators, she was standing right there, huge smile on his face. I need you guys right now to spit in the face of tyranny and keep big smiles on your face. Just think about it. There's 100 million gun owners in this country. Even if 90% of them are nothing but a bunch of FUDs, there's still 10 million. Think about that. That would be like if 1 in 35 people was actually a true American, you'd still have 10 million people that are willing to stand there and stand up for their rights and say, no, enough's enough. That should be encouraging. I really think so. I'm going to take a look at a couple of these super chats because a lot of you guys are very generous and help support the channel. And I know a big part of that is when I read them. We did have a guest on that was traveling, so I just wanted to talk to her as much as possible first. So sorry, much belated. Thank you for leaving the super chats. JDV3 with the super chat and a channel member. Thanks, man. He says, can we get separation of Hollywood and state? Look, here's some more good news. Here's some more encouragement. I got a secret for you guys. This is my opinion. It's not really a secret. In my opinion. And I want to know what you guys think. Okay? I think Hollywood's on its way out. No, truly think about it. I think we're actually entering into a phase now where celebrities are going to kind of become a thing of the past. There's going to be a lot more. Nobody's getting their 15 minutes of fame. And I just don't know. I think there's a lot more people that are hanging out and would rather hang out on YouTube with a bunch of cool people. I mean, guys, look, let me put this into perspective right now, okay? We've got 200 people watching right now, which is awesome. Like, I'm super lucky to get to hang out with you guys. Like, I'm a nobody in a shop, and it's a messy shop, and I was cutting grass up until like 30 minutes before I started the stream. I'm not particularly well-spoken, not particularly awesome-looking, and I don't have any money either, and we're all just hanging out and having fun right now. Then you look at somebody like Steven Crowder, who will have like 100,000 people watching him at once. I think Hollywood's on the way out, actually. I truly do, and I think that's actually good news. It is. So that's my answer to that. All right, hold on. Let me come back over here. Are you still with me, Linda, or did you go to sleep? I know you're really tired. You can go to sleep if you need to. John Crump, what's happening, John Crump Live? Speaking of people out there fighting the good fight. How you doing, man? Channel member? Generous Super Chat says, never give up. Those are pretty simple words, but literally, never give up. Very simple but powerful words. And he comes back with another one. Thanks again, John. He says, rattle cages. Look. Allegedly, somebody else was rattling a cage on January 6th, and Ryan Kelley helped support him. Go over to my locals afterwards, guys, because I don't know how to upload PDFs here. I have the allegedly, I'm going to say in air quotes, statement of fact from the FBI. I have the document. You guys can read it for yourself. I mean, yeah. I do want to talk about something else, though, that's pretty fun, because we got to have fun. We got to have fun. If you need to go to bed, Linda, I totally understand. So you can tap out if you need to. But this is more of a Michigan thing here, but I want the rest of you that are other states, don't tune out yet. I want you guys to think about this. I want you guys to get this going in all 50 of these United States. All right? I'm going to share something on the screen here that we're going to be doing in Michigan. We saw Livingston 2A, my friend Rob here earlier in the chat. And I'm going to see if I can screen share this. They're going to be having their 2A days. And I believe, are you still watching, Rob? If he is, I'm going to try to take a peek here. He sent me a text earlier. I want to make sure that they're announcing this publicly, but I'll just say this for now. They're going to be doing something to help out with some of Ryan Kelley's costs, and I will wait to confirm with Rob and see if that's public information or if he was just brainstorming with me. But let me pull this up because, again, politics is downstream from culture, and we need to sit here and complain, and we need to rattle cages. But we also just need to have some fun sometimes too. So here's an event going on in Michigan, and I'm going to find it here. Susan Wiki, she's happy with me tonight because I cited a NewsGuard certified source, remember? The most popular and the most fortified of all time. Just think about this. They put it right in front of your face. I always have to remind you guys of that. The most popular, okay, full stop. No. The most popular, but the most fortified election of all time. And that's what Time Magazine said, and that is approved. All right, let me find, how do I get this to show up on my screen? This is making me look like a liar because I literally have this document sitting right here. All right, I'm going to do a community post on YouTube, and also I'll put one on locals. It's July 16th from 1 to 7 p.m. This is going to be in Fowlerville, Michigan. It's called 2A Day. There's going to be political candidates, including the now very famous Ryan Kelley himself is going to be there, amongst many other people. This is a place where you can sit and talk to other patriots, like just face to face. It's a place where you can walk up and shake hands with or talk to these candidates, people that are applying to be your public servant, because that's what a politician and candidate is supposed to be, right? I mean, technically not the candidate, but if they were to win the office that they are desiring, that literally means by sheer definition at that point that they would work for you, right? And this is not letting me show this thing, so I'm just going to have to put it up another post, guys. I'm sorry, but I have my email just sitting here. Hold on a minute. Maybe I can do it this way. Hold on a second. Okay, I got it. All right, there you go. It's on the screen. Okay, look, if you guys are in Michigan, I'm going to be there. This is July 16th from 1 to 7 p.m. Those of you that live in the other 50 states, if you want to come hang out with me and whatnot, that'd be awesome. Just like make sure you see me and introduce yourself because I want to meet as many of you guys as possible. But if you're in the area, come. It's going to be a great time. There's going to be tons of stuff. I know they're doing something to help with Ryan Kelley's situation. I just need to make sure that they've got that plan finalized. Look, Ryan Kelley right there. Ralph Rebant. Okay. Kevin Rinke, Bob Bazat, Bo LaFave, Mike Detmer. These are people that are literally running for office. Does that mean you're there worshiping politicians? No. But if you're sitting there complaining that no one listens to you and the government doesn't matter anymore, here's where you can actually go there and say, this is what matters to me. Tell them, ask them, see how they react, decide for yourself. Now, I encourage everyone else in the other 49 states. We've got to all figure this out. Figure out a way to do something like this in your hometown, in your county, and in your state. And look, it's a little bit of work. And there might be 5 or 6 of you that need to get together to start. But I'll tell you what, this 2A Patriot group started off with just a couple people that wanted to sit and talk, right? And now they're hosting events like this. It's going to be fun. There's going to be food. There's going to be raffles. Jane Locke's probably going to be there. She was there last time. A lot of you guys that watch the channel, friends of mine were there. Sergey was there. What's happening, Sergey? Sergey gave me this Ryan Kelley hat that I'm wearing right now, right? One of the times that you could talk to Jane too. There you go. Don't come to see me. Come to see the lovely Jane Locke. You know what I'm saying? Nah, she's a hoot. She's cool to hang out with, for real. She's good looking, but she carries security with her. So, you know, just hang out with her. She's cool. You know what I'm saying? You guys don't have to worry about me. She'll beat you up. She's like, security. I am the security. But yeah, 2A Day. I'm going to post this on Locals. I'll post it over here on YouTube. It's about a month out. What about the rest of you? Did you guys just tune out already because you don't live in Michigan? Or am I kind of getting you guys excited? Look, this stuff can make a change. This stuff can make a difference. This is literally a day that's dedicated to the Second Amendment. These candidates that are there, they're literally there to state their Second Amendment views. And so that they can talk about it. They can be questioned. They can be challenged. The ones that deserve to be can encouraged and supported. But there's tons of cool people. You're going to be there hanging out with people talking. Not only does this make a difference, and hard work usually isn't fun, right? Okay, it sucks. It's hard work. No, this kind of stuff is where it's work. You have to work, though. Freedom isn't free, and the Founding Fathers never said it was free. Remember Ben Franklin? Right? He was literally asked at the conception of this country, sir, do we have a republic or a monarchy? He said a republic if you can keep it. We're in the year 2022 right now, okay? This is what we do. We get on the internet, we talk. We need to have social gatherings, events like this. It's a little bit of work, but it's very, very important because this is culture and politics is downstream from culture. But you're going to have so much fun and you're going to meet so many new people. I mean, there's probably 25 people in this chat right now that literally I've gotten the pleasure of hanging out with, shooting with some of you, shaking your hand, having face-to-face conversations at events just like this. And if you don't have one in your hometown and you don't have one in your area, I really, really hope you guys can look into it. You know, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but look into it. See if you can figure something out. Heck, Rob with 2A Patriots, a really, really cool dude. And the other guys. You could probably shoot him an email and go to their site, and he'd probably send you some stuff, like email you some stuff to give you a start if you want to form just a small local group that gets together and talks about the Second Amendment. You know? You'll meet such awesome people, though. I promise you, you will. All right, let's grab some of these super chats, Linda, before you pass out, because you've been very, very patient tonight. She got up really early this morning, guys. MSB9021 with the super chat. Thank you. I appreciate it. Says standing in the last best place in the world and plan to fight for it. And you should. We should fight for things that are good. Don't you agree? I hope everyone here watching agrees. Thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks for the thanks for the super chat, and I appreciate all you guys hanging out here. When I say all of you supporting the channel, look, I need all of you. Yeah, it does cost a lot of money to do a channel like this, but I need all of you guys just to be here, just to hang out and talk, and you guys are all supporters too, trust me. I really appreciate you guys. Speaking of friends that I've had the pleasure of getting to hang out with in real life, Sergey, what's happening, man? Channel member, super chatter. You remember that, obviously. I know some of you guys were there. We were last year in Fowlerville at the 2A Days event. Ryan Kelley was there. Sergey was there. And he said, dude, can I buy you a hat? And I was like, thank you very much. So there you go. My friend Sergey, who gave me my Ryan Kelley hat. I wanted to wear both tonight because we need to represent both. You know what I'm saying? Ryan Kelley, Michigan's frontrunner for the GOP, governorship in Michigan. And then we've got the former vice president, right, Sergey? Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon, right? In a different kind of way. And let's go, Ryan Kelley, in a positive, uplifting way. What do you guys think about that? And Sergey will be at 2A Days. So there you go, man. I'm looking forward to seeing you, dude. Who else am I going to see there? And if I don't catch your chat live right this second, I'll catch it on the replay. I come back and see what you guys are talking about. I mean, obviously, that's why I'm still here doing these streams, right? Member. So if you guys are channel members, one of the perks is you get a member chat. Linda takes the time to type them out because something drops the ball where StreamYard won't let me pin it. But thank you. Member Judas Priest says, 280 you on Rumble now? I'm following you on there. I don't do a lot on Rumble, but I am on Locals a lot, which Locals is part of Rumble. But yes, I'm on Locals. You guys can join for free or support. I am on Rumble. I just had a bunch of technical difficulties with it. But yes, I'm on Locals, which is a different site. Yes, I have an account on Rumble. I'm just not doing so much on there as far as videos because I literally had technical difficulties. It was really frustrating, wasted a ton of my time, but hopefully they've worked out those glitches and I can get back into doing videos on Rumble again. So what's happening? Shooting Gallery Northeast. How you doing, man? Northeast, New England, which one is it? I tried to say it with a straight face. Shooting Gallery, New England. What's happening, dude? I think I have. I showed your patch that you gave me a couple weeks ago as a shout out, and I don't know if you were here that day. I put your patch over there. Shooting Gallery, New England. It's an inside joke. If you call him the wrong name, he gets a little bit ticked off. How you doing, man? Nice to see you. What's happening, Ron Wayne? How you doing, man? Talking to Kurt24. What's happening, Kurt? David, how's it going, man? He says good stuff. Nice to see you. I'm just saying hi to you guys just for a minute here. Ticked off Shooting Gallery, New England. I'm going to... Dale, what's happening, man? How you doing, Michigan guy? Maybe you'll be around town. I know you've had a few issues with the cars, a little bit of health issues. You doing better, man? I hope you are. I'm sure I'll see you over tomorrow night on Locals when I do my stream. I'll be on Locals tomorrow night, guys, for a live stream where I touch guns while I'm live, which is pretty fun. Dauntless Defense is in the house. Look who showed up. He said, look who shaved. Who shaved, Lamy? I don't think so. The Let's Go Brandon, Misty Mrs. Wayne, with the decals, the official decal sponsor of the channel. I don't know, man. I don't think Lamy shaved, do you? Ugh. There we go. Speaking of people from other countries over here supporting, we've got Dutchman 99 backup because they banned your other account, right? He lives over there. He leaves a comment on almost every single video from the UK and says, that's a great gun you have there. Too bad it's totally illegal here. Not really volunteering you, man, but you can tell these people all about it, can't you? Tell all these complacent, lazy Americans that how good they got it, man. You know what I'm saying? Give us some heck, dude. Let us know what's going on. No, he's a good one. I hate it when people from other countries tell us how to run our lives. That's not what I meant by that. But every time, man, that guy, he comes in. This is his backup account, Dutchman 99 backup. He's been watching the channel for years. He'll come in, the G3 Tactical. I can remember what he said. I'll paraphrase. He said, man, that's a really nice piece of kit there. Too bad we can't buy it or own it here. It's true. It's true. Get to bed, Ultra MAGA Mama Linda. Go to bed. I'm just saying hi to people, and I'm going to be off here in just a couple minutes. I know Mateo was ready to pass out earlier. He may have already passed out for the night. Hopefully he's doing good. I'm doing good. Shooting Gallery. Shooting Gallery, New England. Hijabs for all. What's happening, Hijabs? How you doing, buddy? You're from Michigan. Maybe I'll meet you up at the 2A days. What do you think? We've got channel moderator bot who doesn't really require sleep. I mean, not in the traditional human way. Talking about the PowerTech flashlights, which are awesome, by the way. Use code 2AEDU15 to save 15% off your purchase. They're awesome lights. Like, no joke. And I think I saw, hey, what's happening, man? Another Michigan guy right here. Thanks, Bob G. You know, live in Texas. Well, yeah, you guys have got your own problems keeping Beto out of a job. Look, I know everyone doesn't live in Michigan. I totally get it. And if this was only a Michigan issue, I wouldn't have wasted your time. But this isn't really about Ryan Kelley at all, in a way. It isn't really even about Michigan. This is just what's going on right now in this country. And it could happen to your state next. It could happen in your county. It could happen in your hometown. It could happen to one of your friends, one of your family, and any of these crazy things could happen to you. It's very important. It's also very important that we know what's going on. You literally have to know what's going on. People that literally want to pretend right now that they can just sit back and say, came for the guns and left for the politics. No, it's like, whatever. Now, they don't have to watch my channel. That's not what I mean by that at all. You don't like my channel? You don't like my channel. Like, that's totally awesome. I don't like all channels, right? Actually, most of them I've seen I don't like. I probably only like one in like 100 I've seen. I get it. But the idea, though, that you can even have guns at all in the future with just putting your head down in the sand and saying, nope, no politics. I'm not even going to do anything political at all whatsoever and keep these guns. That's a fallacy. That's a logical fallacy. It's a conundrum, and that's why we're in the situation we're in right now, where they're literally trying to come back through and do a final bulldozing right over the top and just bury the rest of this experiment on self-governance. And here's the thing, and I try to put this into context, and I'll vent to you guys about it because you guys actually get it. When I say politics, I don't just mean like hanging out with some dude in a bought and paid for, lobbyist bought and paid for, suit and tie, sitting high up on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. Yes, we definitely need to keep them accountable. No, I'm talking about what's truly going on right now. We're in a culture war in this country. So when I say politics, I mean just like hanging out with your friends, your neighbors, talking to regular people. Look, this is a government of the people, by the people, for the people. You guys are all actually politicians if you really think about it. And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean people who actually are supposed to have the power in this country. And you all need to start acting like it. Now, there's a lot of fun with that. You can meet great new people. You can go to these local events. Become an advocate if that's what your calling is. Maybe you don't want to become an advocate and put yourself out there, but you got to have that friend or family member or neighbor that you can just start having conversations with. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot you can do culturally right now. And that's the fun stuff. That's not the, sitting there listening to a bunch of curmudgeons sitting there voting on how they're going to pee 20 trillion of your dollars away over the next few years and put the next 1,000 years of generations in debt. No, that's, again, important. We need to be very vigilant against that. But when I say we need to stay involved in politics, that's just literally reminding people like, hey, look, we're the normal people. Like, it's perfectly normal to want life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's perfectly normal to want a speedy trial, to want due process of the law, to have freedom of speech, to be able to petition your government for redress of grievance, to practice any religion or no religion at all that you see fit for your soul and for your well-being. Think about that. And that you have the right to basically just be left the heck alone. But they're not going to leave you alone, and that's obvious. And that keeping and bearing arms, since it's literally necessary to the security of a free state, that's also perfectly normal. I know this doesn't sound like much, but I'll tell you guys, this is the most powerful thing right now. Just start reminding everybody you talk to, say, no, the Second Amendment is normal, actually. And believing in America and believing in a republic, that's normal. Just literally keeping it normalized. Letting God-given natural rights that government people are supposed to protect. Bringing that in the mainstream. Every time they want to silence us on guns, we need to talk about them more. Because that's truly what's going on right now. And I think there's a lot of encouragement with that and a lot of fun times to be had too. So hopefully I encouraged everybody tonight because, yeah, it's Michigan, it's Ryan Kelley, but it's you, it's Kentucky, it's Tennessee, it's Florida, it's Texas, it's Oklahoma, it's Pennsylvania, Ohio. It's all over the place. Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. We can just keep going right up, right? Well, I appreciate you guys. I'm going to wrap it up here. And it looks like I got a couple super chats. Let me grab those. I have Mike McClune. What's happening, man? Thanks for the super sticker, dude. I wish I could post the actual stickers themselves here in StreamYard, but it doesn't let me do that. It just lets me show this banner. And then what you guys see in the other chat here is what, there we go. And of course it was a tactical hippo. I knew it was. I just wanted to 100% confirm. And it looks like Roger Bird left a super chat. Thank you, Roger. I appreciate it, man. Did you have something that you wanted to say on there, or did it cut you off? I see another chat here from Roger Bird said, absolutely. Only one vote away. Let me go ahead and pin Roger Bird's super chat up there. Thank you. Thank you, Roger. I appreciate it. Yeah. Nancy says because they arrested Kelley, they have shown that he is the man. Yes. Now, you're not the same. You're not the same one that spoke at the Monroe 2A Sanctuary County meeting, are you? I have a feeling I know who you are. Sport Brand, thank you. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. What's happening, Sport Brand? Nice to see you. Give them up and it'll be on steroids. Yes, Michigan Watch. What's happening, Michigan Watch? How you doing, man? Dude, I know we've met in real life. Is it Stefan or Steven? I think it's Stefan. Tell me how to pronounce your name once and for all, because you took the beautiful photograph, and MacShot ended up winning that when we had the 2A EDU hangout last year. A couple of you guys brought stuff for prizes, and we just did a random little drawing type thing. I hate that. I'll meet people in real life, and when the spelling is like that, is it Steven or Stefan? Because it can be pronounced both ways. What's happening, man? Yeah, they stop if people will stop feeding them. Are you talking about varmint? Or are you talking about government? Or did I just repeat myself when I said varmint? You know, me and Mateo were talking right before the stream started about how there's this whole liberal argument of you cage up the raccoon, okay, because it's a varmint. Because if you shoot it with a varmint round like 223, it'll just totally explode. And it's like, yeah, okay. And then what? You spend the people's money to like euthanize it or something? Or you take the varmint, and a lot of people do this. They drive up the road just about 2 miles and drop it in front of that neighbor's house. Oh, yeah. Now, you drive it 2 miles to the north to drop it off in front of your neighbor's house. It's gone. But what happens when the neighbor 2 miles to the south of you does the same thing, and he drives 2 miles north and drops it off in your front yard? Now you've got the varmint again. And then we talked about how, like, dude, it's a wild animal. You think because you drop it off 2 ways, like 2 miles away, it's not going to find its way home? Of course it finds its way home. Now, here's where it goes back to what Lori was talking about. And then Mateo's like, yeah, a varmint will just scavenge for food. It can travel miles, like 2 miles. That's what it travels every night, just looking for whatever to eat. I'm like, unless there's just so much food, like it's the campground's dumpster, then it doesn't get more than like 50 yards or whatever away. It wants a little buffer, but it just sleeps like within eyesight of it, comes back and eats, barely moves, come back and eats. And it just gets fatter and fatter and bigger and bigger. And yeah, you provide enough of a food source for a piece of varmint, and yes, it is going to just keep getting bigger and bigger and keep eating more and more. And I think a lot of people realize that we've been feeding it a lot, and all kinds of varmint have been eating as much as they possibly can. What happened, Band Talk? Oh, you sent me that package, which I am looking forward to, but no rush, dude. I totally get it. I got returned to sender, even though it seems perfectly legible. If you want to reach out to me and make sure you have my address still, or again, it hasn't changed, so you should still have the same one, because I know I've gotten stuff from you before, obviously, because my Mexican Libertad was given to me by you, by my good friend Band Talk, guys. So some of you guys send me stuff sometimes that I really appreciate. And I like having this coin here. And I also have another coin from my friend If It Flips, It Ships, which I saw you in there earlier today. And I'll have to get that one out for the live streams again, too. All right, thank you, Misty. I appreciate it. I'm glad you had a good time tonight. Pillbox Bunker, what's happening, man? Good night, Scott. Nice to see you, Scott. Take it easy, Roger. Thanks, Vito. What's happening, man? Thanks for supporting the channel. He says, have a great weekend. Well, I appreciate it, dude. You have a good weekend, too. Take them down the street to the Coyotes. Yes. Steven. Okay, that's what I thought. I thought it was. That's what I've been mostly calling you. But when you see the PH, it can go, what's happening, Steven? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's happening, Mark? I have your speech at the Monroe County commissioners meeting on this YouTube channel. The channel was a lot smaller then. It's still a small channel. I like having a small channel, but I have a speech of not Nancy, but Mr. Kornicki on that old video. If you guys want to go on a scavenger hunt tonight, you might be able to find it. Go to Restore Freedom KH if you want to see Katherine's video of her getting arrested, standing up for the First Amendment and for clients. What's happening, Jerry Bear Tactical? Another Michiganian. I want to start saying Michiganian, guys, or you guys can come up with something else if you like it. I don't like Michigander. What's happening, man? I don't like Michigander. Michigander was a thing. Look, you guys can look this up, but this is back around the Civil War times, You had the governor of Michigan running for president against Abraham Lincoln. And Lincoln made a joke about a Michigander, to rip on his opponent, which was from Michigan. And somehow a lot of people take pride in being called a Michigander. I don't want to be called a Michigander anymore. So Michiganian I could go to, I could go with anything. Michigan person. We should just go with like person, period. I don't know. Whatever you want to be called. Not a Michigoose or a Michigander. People don't talk about this much, do they, hijabs? I don't know why. It's not exactly a compliment to call yourself a gander. You know what I mean? What's the scoop on Ryan? Well, we talked about it quite a bit tonight. Katherine gave her insight. She was involved in a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff of him getting out of jail and whatnot. He's still running for governor of Michigan, and he is currently, as far as I know, the front runner in the Michigan GOP to go up against Gretchen. And I think the polls are going to widen even more. I think he just went up a little bit when they get these polls out again soon. You know what I'm saying? I really think so. Ted Nugent was telling the story. Yeah, and I'm not even copying off of him. It's just a Michigan thing, right? Like, I've just kind of known about it for a while. Yes, I have your coin. I told you, you're still watching, man. Heck yeah. No, I put your coin with my coin collection, dude. I'll bring it back out and give you a shout out on one of the next streams. I have a little box that I keep stuff like that in. You guys send me little gifts and stuff. I never sell any of it. I keep it because it means a lot to me. People I met in real life or people that I haven't had the pleasure of getting to shake their hand yet, but just send me stuff. I keep all of it and I like it. Man, I've been on for over 2 hours. I need to get out of here. Hopefully you've gone to bed by now, Linda. I'm not trying to get rid of you, but jeez, oh, Pete. Oh, boy. If it flips, it ships. Well, thanks, dude. He's actually right. No offense, but here's 20 fake dollars. Actually, wow. Look, actual US dollars are very important when it comes to keeping a channel going, and it's important to all of you guys' lives. But it is quite literally fake, too. If you think about it, the Federal Reserve is a corporation. Thank you. I appreciate it, dude. Thanks for the super chat, man. And thanks for the silver coin that I definitely have. Well, William's saying we had a dog that was half coyote, and he was a good dog, a good boy. Okay, so lay off on the varmint, the coyotes, right? Thanks for the generous super chat. If it flips, it ships. You've changed your name on me a couple times, but I know who you are. Jane Locke doesn't like Michigander. No. Nah, I figured she wouldn't too much. Harry Grimley, what's happening, Harry? Thanks for always. Harry's always in there, guys. Don't forget to give those thumbs up. And big channel supporter by doing that. It helps the algorithm a little bit, right? It does. Bill Alexander, Wolverine. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, guys. I'm out of here. I appreciate all of you. I'm not saying you would, but if you happen to miss me, I will be on Locals doing a stream for everybody. It's free to join tomorrow. Oh, I don't know. Maybe around 9:30 or so Eastern time. It's a little more informal on my timing over there, but I'll be on Locals. Right, Linda? What are you doing? Are you still awake? We the people at the last second. What's happening, man? Nice to see you. A lot of you guys sit there and lurk all night, and I know you guys are there, but I'll miss your comments because, but I'll definitely check up on all the comments later for sure. Came for the Craig Jorgensen video, and thank God I stayed for everything else. Well, thank you for that message, Ron. That means a lot to me, man. I appreciate it, dude. David, Michi Militia Man. Yeah. They're sitting there in that fact sheet. I'll go post it on Locals, right? Saying he was seen with members of a militia. I'm like, I knew he was the best choice for governor. I mean, think about it. How hard is that? It's like, dude, he was with members of the militia. Okay. Now, I'm not a Democrat, so I can't dig up somebody that's dead to vote twice, but it's like, got my vote. That's what somebody else was telling me. Thanks, Fire Router. I appreciate it. Locals is another site, and it's censorship-free, and I post daily deals. I post standalone videos, and also do at least one and sometimes 2 weekly live streams over there. So, yeah. Censorship-free. I can touch guns, talk about whatever I want. So, all right, guys, I'm out of here. I appreciate all of you, and I hope you guys had a good time tonight. All right, thanks for watching. And have a good one.